Everybody ready? Day one is in the books. First day down, that's what Kenneth Dixon said walking off the field. He said, Coach, I'm really excited. We finally got an opportunity to get started. At least now kind of the ball is rolling, and we just kind of got to keep getting better. Going out there today, there were a lot of, obviously good things and bad things. We got all the freshmen and new players are swimming mentally. We threw everything at them, a lot of installation the first 2 days in shorts, but I think there's a lot of talent on that field. There's a lot of talent in that freshman class, and anxious to see the way that they continue to develop and grow as young football players. But I really like what I see in the overall talent of it all. Today's running around in your underwear out there. We're a lot of team apart from each other. We just did a little bit of pass scale together, but I like the way the team ran around and the attitude and the morale of it right now. I was really pleased with the way they went out there and worked. So, day one's down. We got to get through day two. One more installation day tomorrow. Tomorrow will be very similar to today. Meetings in the morning, walkthroughs in the morning, a light lift in the morning, practice in the afternoon, and then we'll watch the film tonight till about 9:30 or 10 o'clock, and then let them go to dinner. So a lot of learning going on right now, but we need every one of these teaching days.
X's and O's wise, what can you tell when they're running around in their underwear?
Just if they know what to do yet. Just this freshmen to see how much smoke's coming out of their ear holes in their helmet with the way that they're trying to absorb everything. But you can see some overall talent, but you can't really evaluate them until you put on pads what kind of football team you can be. What I see running around, we got to get a lot of little things cleaned up. You can tell a huge difference between Ryan and Kenneth and everybody else, all the other quarterbacks that are out there. Just the mechanics, the ball positioning, how smooth it is, and how much more comfortable they are since they've been doing it for a while. So that's where we got to get to with a lot of the new guys that are out there. But like I said, it's a good day. If we can get 29 days like this, then I'll feel much better.
Of course, got to talk about Cody Sokol.
Mm-hmm.
In day one, given that you did install a lot today, how do you think you did?
I thought he did well. He's picking a lot of things up. He's vocal. He's a leader. He's asking a million questions, even when he's not going. It's like, okay, Coach, you want me to go there? He's a sponge and picking it all up. I think he's got a great attitude with it all. But he's got talent. He can throw the ball. He made some nice throws into some really tight windows today. And I keep saying he's only going to get better, but was pleased with what he did. And I thought the two young quarterbacks did some really good things as well as far as throwing the ball into some windows. Now, as much as they threw some good ones, they threw some bad ones too. But that'll come as they continue to watch the film and correct some of the mistakes.
Jared Kraft out there, to me, stood out a little bit. He's got a good burst. Did all the running backs seem to have a good day, or did Jared Kraft stand out to you as well?
Well, no, I think Jared Kraft, I'm not going to say he stood out, but you know what he did? He blended in. You couldn't tell that he was a freshman out there. There wasn't a lot of difference when you watched him and Marlon Seats and some guys that have been here. I thought he stepped in, and I thought he was really smooth with it. Did some nice things. I thought little Marcus Gaines made some nice plays out at wide receiver. I thought there were a lot of those freshmen that made some good plays, but it's just going to be the consistency. And for a guy like Jared Kraft, the big evaluation is going to be when you put pads on. But I thought he picked it up and knew what he was doing and did some good things.
Was it obvious Cam McKnight missed the first session, or do you think he blended in?
No, you can see his talent. You can see his talent when you're doing ball drills and routes on air, his hands, and how smooth he is with everything. He's just not as comfortable as where to go, and Coach Sloan's yelling to him his route right before the ball snapped, and then he's trying to figure it out. There's going to be a learning curve there, and I think we got to give him a week before he feels comfortable enough where to line up with all the different formation calls.
Does Ryan naturally have an advantage because he started 6-7 games last year?
I think he's naturally got an advantage because he's been here a year and a half. I think the concept of where he is with the offense right now and understanding it and reading it, I think gives him a step up on day one. But I think when the other quarterbacks have a chance to catch up, that's when we're going to get an opportunity to really get an evaluation on where they all are. Because right now, yes, there's a learning curve there, and Ryan can jump right in and gets every call and understands it all and knows what he's doing. The other guys, Cody missed a call that we had today on the backside, missed it. And he was like, oh, yeah, okay, I got it. And he'll get those things. But when those things go away, then we'll get an opportunity to get a great evaluation and read. But I thought he did a good job of coming in and picking up the offense and knowing what to do. Ryan, from where he was, and I thought he was really smooth with it.
We talk about the talent in the back seven, and today I thought their speed and their length really showed up. Is that what you expected from them in day one?
Well, you expect that experience. From the other side, I think when you talk about experience. I think it's the same thing. When I look at the experience of Bryson Abraham and Darius Barnes and Liggins and Xavier Woods and Kentrell Bryce and Lloyd Grogan, there's a lot of guys that have played a lot of football that have been back there in it and they're really savvy with what they're doing right now. They're really comfortable in the defense. They understand it. They've played. They have experience, and they've been successful. So there's some talent in that secondary. There's a lot of talent. And, we didn't see a plethora of coverages today. It was only a handful of coverages being day one, and tomorrow it'll get a little bit more and a little bit more. And I think that's where that secondary, their experience and their kind of being veterans back there and understanding what we're trying to do when we make certain calls is what's really going to start showing up.
How was it seeing Tevin run out there?
It was great. I mean, I know Tevin's going to go, he's going to go kind of 2 steps forward, 1 step back right now. But to see the way that he feels and the way he runs from the last time we saw him on the field out there in spring was a huge boost. I mean, he's fought really hard. He's gone through a hard conditioning, off-season, rehab, all those things to try and strengthen it. And I was really proud the way that he was able to go out there and run around today. Huge stride.
How did Josh Gaston look out there? I know you had him put his hand on the ground some, and you had Ricky Shorty put his hand on the ground some, and then Rodriguez put his hand on the ground some. What did it feel like to finally have 3 tight ends to put on the field?
Well, it's definitely different than what we've had in the past, and it gives you the opportunity to be much more flexible as an offensive football team and to do some different things. And so hopefully we can continue to build on that. And I always say there's going to be an opportunity to get a running game going and a play-action passing game and a drop-back passing game. We're going to be able to get all that done.
You mentioned a lot of installation the first 2 days.
Yes.
How much did you get in today, and about how long will it take you to get the complete package in?
We're only going to install on shorts days, and so really for the first, I'm going to think. I mean, we go 5, then we've got a 2 a day, then we go a 2 a day. I mean, so we're going to put in probably about 60 or 70% of the offense in the first 2 days. And for the guys that have been here, that they're going to get more and more comfortable early. But as we run the same stuff every day, and then when we get into week 2, we'll probably put in another 15%, and then probably put that last 15-20% in as we get into the end of camp.
Yesterday you mentioned 3 guys you're excited to see, Birch, Houston, and Cody. Obviously you saw the 2 quarterbacks throw in front of you.
Right.
Did you get a chance to see it, Houston?
No, I mean, I was down there in Pascal today. I'll get a chance to watch some of the films with some of the one-on-ones. But again, I think just like with the Josh Gaston, those tight ends, those bigger bodies, the evaluation's really going to come when they can put their hand on the ground.
What about Birch being out of football so long, coming back and all? I mean, how do you think he looked?
He did some good things. He made some good throws, probably a lot like those 2 freshmen, all those new guys. Made some really good throws, did some good things, but also, as you can tell, he's been off for 2 years. So I think the more that he can do this, the more that he goes out there. I think what's going to be valuable for the quarterbacks, for all the quarterbacks, is going out and doing what we did today, and then coming in and watching the film tonight, and then being able to meet on it again tomorrow morning and to walk through it as an offense tomorrow, and then to go back and do it again, and then watch 2 hours of film tomorrow night. I think over the process, that's where those guys are going to get more and more comfortable every day with what they're doing. And I think Taylor's got talent and he's got a chance. I'm just anxious to watch him come along.
Speaking of Taylor, he's just one of many local guys that look like really could play key pieces on this team, whether it's Xavier Woods in the back end,
Yes.
Turner on the outside. Kind of talk about maybe the local talent kind of standing out around here.
Well, they really are. When you talk about really from Monroe to Shreveport, when you look at the key role that all these guys are playing along the I-20 corridor and the job that the staff has done recruiting, and I can't compliment them enough for the difference in the talent level for where this team is today and where it was a year ago. And to see the way those guys are working and coming, we just need that maturity pill where we can bring them along. But when I look at Kentrell Bryce and the way he's working, when I look at Xavier Woods and Paul Turner, all those guys, they're not just really talented players, but they're leaders of this football team. They're vocal, they're into it, there's a lot of pride in this program, and they're working really hard, and I'm glad every one of them is here.
Internet trouble, so sorry if this question's already been asked, but it looked like you were in mid-season shape today. You were getting into some guys, and there was a lot of intensity I saw from you today.
There was some intensity, and we got a long way to go. And I talked about it in the press conference. This is probably this is one of the bigger hurdles I think I've had in my coaching career with the number of new faces that we have on offense and trying to bring them all together. And I think we're, the entire offensive staff, we got to coach with that type of intensity, and we got to push and we got to demand that we get there. And that's the only way we're going to arrive to the level that we've got to be to play the schedule that we have to. We've got to play that first game on the road at Oklahoma against number 3. We're going to have to be at one of our best forms early. And the only way we're going to get there is start pushing now. Now, sometimes you feel like you're pushing a rope a little bit. You don't know how much progress you're making, but I think that's the only way we're going to be able to get to where we want to be.
You mentioned coaching challenge. What makes it different than last year? Because you had a lot of new faces last year as well.
Well, but there's a lot of new faces this year. When you look at guys like Tony Johnson, who wasn't here for summer, and we ended up redshirting. When you look at a lot of guys that weren't able to play until now. When I look at a Cody Sokol, when I look at a Houston Bates, when I look at a Cameron McKnight, when I look at a lot of those guys that weren't able to be here for the spring or for the summer. Last year we signed a number of junior college players to try and fill some voids, and a lot of them were here for spring ball. Mitch Villamez, Pinson, Terrell Pinson, Mitchell Bell, Trey Carter. A lot of those guys had an opportunity to be here for spring ball. With this group, this is like a free agency wire, and you're just picking them up and they're just getting here. And I think that's what makes the challenge a little bit different this year than it was in the past. Plus, I think our schedule is a lot more difficult, but I think we have a lot more talent on this team. We just have to bring them together as a team.